What's up, Steeler Nation? We're back for another great week of episodes. I'm Jay York Football. This is Mic'd Up Sports One. We have a very special guest, but we want to welcome someone new to the Sick team, the Brushes and Beans Cafe. I think I could use some coffee right now. I went to a concert last night at my old age, and just a really family-run place. Great people over there. Caffeinate and create at Brushes and Beans Cafe. Visit them at 4550 William Penn Highway, right in Murraysville, a great town. If you just need to pick me up, I know they also do live music, painting with a twist, just a really creative spot. Get you some, latte, espresso, whatever coffee you like. What's your go-to coffee?
Man, you know what? I'm usually just a cappuccino guy. I like it really sweet, almost too sweet. My poor fiance, every time I have a coffee, she's like, this is cocoa or this is, hot chocolate. You're not actually drinking a coffee. I put like 6 Splendas if I'm making a coffee here at home. So, yeah, I like way too sweet. Like I'm walking right out of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. So I'm sure that they have an excellent cappuccino. And I love Brushes and Beans, man. Great place. Really elegant name. So we're excited to have them on.
Most definitely. I'll be stopping there soon to get me a cup of tea. So let's get to it, Mike. We have a very special guest. I think everyone knows who he is. He needs no introduction. So, Sammy, let's get to it and let's get it started.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
This gentleman is a legend around the Sick podcast parts. Of course, you can see him on NFL Network almost daily, NFL Fantasy Live. He's all over. I see him in costume sometimes when I just turn on NFL Network. He's absolutely tremendous. And of course, most importantly, host the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank featuring the Chicago Bears. Let's bring him in. It's Adam Rank.
What is happening? I'm going to go over this real quick. I love black coffee, but sometimes if I want to get a little spicy, I'll go with a cafe latte with macadamia nut milk. And then at the same time, there's a coffee shop down the street here. This sweet Vietnamese couple run it, and they make the best Vietnamese coffee in the land. So I have a wide variety of coffee choices. I could go in any direction. It's like a multi-threat type of person. Like I can play multiple positions, kind of the Taysom Hill of coffee drinkers.
Nice.
So that's where I'm at. I know you didn't ask, but I was just going to offer it up as I'm here.
No, I was curious. I usually find that people who drink black coffee are addicted to coffee because you can't have it any other way now, right?
Oh my gosh, it is because the other ones are a treat. I will sit there and just slug black coffee. I was sitting on the beach earlier today watching my kids, go out and get on the paddle board and do what they do. And I was sitting there on the beach like 3 in the afternoon, California time, just slugging black coffee like it's no big deal. Like I will probably regret this later, but I'm happy now.
So let's talk about you just came to Pittsburgh. You played in the Cam Hayward charity softball game.
Where were you guys? Where were you, by the way?
I know. They told me right away, and I had prior plans with my wife, and I didn't want to make her mad. So, and I know, and this is past my bedtime, so this is how I hold you very high. Just so you know that, because I wake up at 2:30. So when they told me Adam's coming on, I'm like, I gotta be here.
Oh, I would have switched. I mean, probably not. No. I wouldn't have. I'm just trying to be magnanimous now. I demanded this time. So this is the only time I will do it. But I loved being out there in the greater Pittsburgh area. The Washington Wild Things. That's right.
Yes.
Washington Wild Things. What a great organization. Independent baseball. You love the effort that they put into it. The staff was top notch. A+ accommodations over at the Hyatt. It was connected to the casino. I had a driver, which was unbelievable. And so it was great too, because I was flying out of Chicago, as a matter of fact, and we were in the middle and the airport got evacuated because of a tornado. And I remember my dad always telling me, he's like, hey, randomly, like just dad wisdom. of like, hey, if you ever get caught in a tornado at O'Hare Airport, like, okay, this is hyper specific, but okay, Dad, thank you. He goes, don't go to that tunnel. He's like, they'll cram you in there like it's a submarine. He's like, believe it or not, go to the men's room and camp out there. And I show up, and my dad was in the Navy. I show up, there are 3 Navy guys doing the same thing. I'm like, oh, like this is actually. And as I walk through the Denver airport on my way back, I noticed like the bathrooms were the tornado shelters. I'm like, oh, he knew what he was talking about. So, but in any event, my flight though didn't get into like 2 a.m, and my driver was still waiting for me. I'm like, bro, I would have been like, call a Lyft, do whatever.
Yeah.
But they took me to the hotel. The Hyatt had already sold my room because they considered me a no-show, but everybody covered me. Like it could not have been easier. And obviously Cam Hayward is a delightful individual. Got to meet Kenny Pickett, who I've met before, but I wasn't going to be like, we've met, like, dude, like you've met a million people. I'm not going to be that guy, but he is super delightful, like super humble, down to earth. I really enjoy his company. And it was fun. I went 0 for 3, so that was kind of a bummer.
That was my next question. Did you hit a home run? But you just answered it for me.
It's hard because I'm left-handed, so it's hard for people to pitch to me. So and I'm not there to walk. Like I didn't fly 2,500 miles to walk. So I had kind of the Ichiro, like running, swinging thing where I'm like, next time. And I told them for next year, I go, I'm locking my feet down and I'm just going to swing for the fences. And oh, by the way, I was sitting there too. After I was done my first at bat. So I will tell you this. This is too long of a. I know you guys want to talk to me about the prediction. I don't care. I was sitting there. The bases were 90 feet, not the normal softball 60 feet. It was 90 feet. So Kenny Pickett is playing second base, and he's way back because I hit one that I thought I hit pretty well. And somehow Kenny Pickett stops it. And I'm like, well, I'm like, oh, he's the quarterback. Of course he throws a laser to Cam Hayward. I'm like, nobody else in this building makes that throw except for Kenny. Barely got me 90 feet, still barely got me on a grounder to second, wherever the hell he was playing. But almost killed the pitcher on the second one, and then Weekly popped up. But it was a good time. It was all for charity and all that stuff. But hopefully I'm invited back for another year. Oh, but here's what I was going to say. When I went back to the dugout, my glove was missing, which is weird and it's my personal glove. Like I would never leave this anywhere. My phones were there. My water's there. I'm like, how is my glove not here? I ran back to the visiting clubhouse. It wasn't there. They had given me a glove that day, like an unbroken in Rawlings. And I'm like, great. So I was afraid to go out. And so I'm like, I'm not going out to the field. And they're like, we need somebody. Like, just go. I'm like, no, dude, I won't be able to catch the ball. Like, I might as well go out there barehanded. And then, so when I came back, I'm like looking for it, looking in the other dugout. And I'm like, oh, wait. And I looked to see on the other team if anybody was left-handed. Jaquan Brisker was out there with my left-handed glove, the one I've had.
Shout out Penn State.
And if it was anybody else, I swear to God, if it would have been like Christian Watson, I would have walked out onto the field and taken it from him. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I would have made a Didi walk over and be like, let's go out to right center. We're going to get my glove. Like, I'm not letting a Packard, but it was Jaquan Brisker, so you just kind of let it slide.
Adam, was Kenny Pickett wearing like a doll-sized glove for his small hand?
How dare you? Don't be that way. I actually I had my child's glove. Well, somebody had bought one. My kids are not left. I'm left-handed. My kids are not left-handed. So I have one that barely fits. Like I can barely get my hand into it. And I brought it and I was going to make a joke. And I'm like, I'm not that close to Kenny yet. So it's good. I'm going to let that one go. Speaking
of dolls, saw the Barbie movie last night. Fantastic. Excellent. Big time rec here. Big time recommendation.
All right.
Not a sponsor of the show, but the Barbie movie. Tremendous. All right.
And if you're a person who's upset about the Barbie movie, I don't want to hear from you. Like it's okay. It's probably not for you then. Like it's also the same thing. Like people who don't like Star Wars are always so proud of the fact that they don't like Star Wars and cannot wait to tell you. Like if somebody like I don't like I'm not that I don't like, but I'm not like a big Harry Potter person. Like it's just not my thing. It's not into it. If people are sitting there having a conversation about Harry Potter, you know what I do is I don't interject. I just sit there and smile and politely nod along like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, I was at a Universal Studios. I saw the Harry Potter ride. It looked awesome. and that'll be my contribution. I don't sit there and be like, I don't watch that movie.
Yeah.
No, I don't get it. Like, it's something that somebody enjoys. I don't particularly. It doesn't appeal to me. It's so be it. It's fine. It's not everything in the world has to be catered to me.
Fair enough. I like this transition. Enough softball questions, if you will. Let's talk you setting Steelers Twitter ablaze. Steelers Nation, I should say.
Why?
In general. Well, I agree. Well, it's
I picked you guys to go to the
ride that you took us on.
I picked you to go to the
Fan.
playoff. I said the Steelers are going to go to the playoffs, and the Steeler fans want to burn down my house.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? It sounds very familiar to our territory. It's like Mike Tomlin having 40 consecutive winning seasons and everybody wanting him fired. Anyway, let's take everybody through this a little bit. All right.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's start week one. Beating the 49ers at home in a game that a couple Steelers jabronis here think they're going to lose.
Why
are they beating the 49ers?
Whatever quarterback is playing for the 49ers is missing all of training camp right now. Like, unless it's Trey Lance, which it doesn't matter. Like, their quarterbacks are so inexperienced. And by the way, last year the Bears beat them in the opener. So why are we doing this? Why are we having this conversation?
I think you can put me at quarterback and there's a chance they would win. You hand it off 20 times to Christian and you let Nick Bosa eat up Kenny Pickett's, small hands back there. And I think the 49ers are, NFC championship, Super Bowl caliber team. Sam Darnold, is Sam hurt?
No, Sam Darnold. You know what's funny is
he's going to start that game.
Sam Darnold, actually, if they didn't have, if Brock Purdy didn't have the success that he had last season, and if Trey Lance had not been, drafted third overall, there might be a world where Sam Darnold might be the best option there. I'm a huge fan of Sam Darnold, and I'll just put this out on Front Street. I watched him in high school. He played down at San Clemente High School. He played at the public high school in the neighborhood in which he grew up, which in Southern California is unheard of, because typically somebody of Sam's caliber goes to these schools that you heard of nationally, Mater Dei, Mission Viejo, where Mark Sanchez went. Mater Dei is where Matt Leinart went. Orange Lutheran, there's all these private schools, or even like you can kind of end up in a public school that is very beneficial to your game. Sam Darnold went and played with his friends and was still amazing. So I always respected him for that. He went to USC, played very well. And unfortunately, his NFL career was marred by being drafted by the Jets, having to go in the Carolina system when it was going through everything that it was. And it's just been unfortunate. And there's so many times that these quarterbacks end up in a spot where it's like, you know what? It's just not going to work out for you. Like, and no disrespect to Ben Roethlisberger, but does he become the guy that he was if he played in San Diego? I don't think so. I think that he ends up like Ryan Leaf and just is out of the NFL.
Well, I think you picked up Steelers fans' spirits with that one if they weren't already down after your predictions. Let's fast forward a little bit. San Francisco, but then they're 2-5, Adam, in your predictions. With the loss to the Texans, you got to hit on that.
You know what? You watch the Steelers enough to know that they have these inexplicable losses. And, when you're doing this, this isn't the right way to do it, because when you do it in a vacuum and you're doing 50-50 of like, who would win? Who's the better team in this game? You're like, obviously the Steelers. But you're like, well, there's something about the Steelers, especially early in the season, where they're like, why are they losing this game? Why are they doing this? And over the last couple of years, and it's probably something that angers the Steelers fans who want Mike Tomlin fired, is that they do stumble a little bit in the early part of the season and yet find a way to get to that 500 mark where it looks like, oh, Mike Tomlin's not going to do it. It's like watching a wrestling match where you're like, oh my God, like, is he going to lose? Is Triple H going to lose to Taka? And you're like, oh no, here comes the pedigree. There it is. It's over. Like, it's that kind of situation. So, trying to be like, obviously, I think the Steelers are a better team than the Houston Texans. And I kind of go into this with a jigsaw puzzle of, I think the Steelers are a playoff team, but they're going to lose some games that, like, they're not every playoff team's going 17-0. And they're just trying to be, and you want to give a little bit of respect to what I think the Texans are going to be able to build. I think they're in a pretty good spot right now with DeMeco Ryans, the homecoming regardless. I really love bringing in their offensive coordinator, and his name escapes me, but he comes in from the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel system. And, as a fantasy tip, like Dameon Pierce is actually a guy that I'm super high on because I feel like they're going to be able to run effectively. They got Laramie Tunsil locked in and ready to go. So I think Houston is going to be better than people think they are. And you're trying to figure out, like, where are the wins for Houston? Because I know it's not 256 games anymore, but it's level. So what's 56 plus 17? I'm not going to do the math. 281 plus 281. Like, it's that 271, 281, 27, whatever. But it's that kind of thing. Like, everybody's going to do it. And you're like, okay, where's Houston going to pick up some wins? And I think finding the Steelers in the early part of the season, not saying that they're a better team. And I think that's what people need to remember. Like, look at the games last year. You lost some games last year. We're like, how the hell did we lose that game? And I think that goes for every team. And so that was one. And again, like, who knows? Somebody could be hurt. We're doing this Madden, no injuries, anything like that. Anything can go. We don't know what the world's going to be like. But I think that rationally, like, okay, maybe. I know where you guys have some arguments, and I will concede one of those. But the Houston one, I feel pretty good about. Not good about, but I'm like, that's rational.
No, I think it's totally fair. Steelers lost at home to Zach Wilson. And the Jets.
That was the one. I was trying to think of the one. Like, it was terrible. Yes.
Yeah, that is not good when you're losing at home to Zach Wilson. And it was his first game back as well. All right, we'll touch on two more things schedule related. This next prediction from you, I should say, this is what really had everybody losing their collective minds, kind of like what you did with the naysayers of the Barbie movie earlier. And it was the Steelers being swept by the Cleveland Browns.
I feel like that was an oversight on my part. I really think I made an error. Like,
interesting.
Even as they were starting to say it, I'm like, did I really? I'm sure there was a reason that I did this. And Sammy, pull up the schedule again. I'm trying to figure this out because I feel like week one win over the week one win over the 49ers and then losing to the Browns like makes sense to me. Like, I can see that happening. Like, okay, that's kind of like. I'm trying to think about, they beat the Titans and the Packers. I don't know why I had them losing in week 11. Maybe because they're going to be going on the road to Cincinnati the week ahead or something like that. But that one is like, and I do the same thing too. Like, listen, the way that I pick these in late May, like even now I go through it. I'm like, well, I feel better about certain things. I feel better about the offensive line, hanging out with Pat Freiermuth. I'm like, okay. Like, and I hate the Browns. Like, I don't want anything nice to happen to the Browns. So that's one that if I will tell you, like, I don't want to be this person that's like, I don't know. But like, if I was going to do a mulligan, I think that's the one where I look at and I'm like, I don't feel good about that one. Losing at Cincinnati, that makes sense. The Patriots one could go either way, but Belichick, I feel like, does a pretty nice job against Tomlin, if I'm remembering this correctly. But yeah.
A lot of Brady mixed in there, but that counts for both.
That's true. That's true. You know what's funny is that the Patriots, I think a lot of people are overlooking them this season. Having Bill O'Brien back, that concerns me. Actually, I have no concern because I don't hate the Patriots. Unlike most of the NFL world, like, I have no reason to hate the Patriots. We destroyed the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Why would I care? Like, the only thing I know about the Patriots is that they kept Walter Payton out of the end zone. Maybe I should hate them. But in any event, that was more Mike Ditka. I would say, like, that's going to be an interesting thing. What was the other part? Like, what is the other? Because I feel like it's also like I was trying to figure. Maybe I'm thinking like this is where TJ Watt's injured. Like, maybe that's what I was trying to factor in. Like, this is where the TJ Watt injury happens, and then he comes back for the final 5 games of the season, and then you win off, and then you go into the playoffs.
Well, hit us with that. You get hot at the very end. That's the last thing we wanted to ask you. The Steelers get hot at the very end. You got hot at the end too. Hell, why not? And they, win their final 3 games against really good teams: Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens. You see it kind of coming together at the end with a young quarterback and team.
Well, first of all, I don't think the Seahawks are as good as they were last. I think that's a team, like, when you look at some squad that's going to fall back, like, that always happens. Like, this team that overachieves kind of falls back to earth. And that's the one thing where I try to look at this analytically. Like, Not every team that made the playoffs last year is making the playoffs this year, which is the one team that I was like, kind of like, how did this happen? And I looked at the Seahawks and I'm like, all right, Geno Smith, it was a nice story. Very proud of him. Glad he's been able to kind of rectify his career, but like, how good is this team really? Like, I don't know. But I think that the Steelers are better. I think that, you know, the Bengals were in a situation too, where I had the Bengals winning a lot of games. I think the Bengals that's going to be a problem for a lot of people that they're not talking about. Like, people have just kind of overlooked the Bengals. They continue to overlook the Bengals, which I know you guys don't want to hear, but, I think I think they match up pretty well. And I think that if everything comes together, I'm really curious with what's going to happen with Kenny Pickett. Cause like I said, personally, I really like him. I think he's a good dude. I met him when he was a rookie and I was like, I felt bad because I wasn't necessarily sold on him coming into the draft. I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you want a quarterback now? But he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers and you're like, okay, they seem excited enough. And he won at the end of last year, which is great. But then a lot of people don't understand, like, that's also when TJ Watt get like, hey, Kenny Pickett was 7-2 in his last 9 games. You're like, yeah, TJ Watt was there for the last 9 games. But at the same time, I really do believe that if the Steelers, if their offensive line is solidified and if somehow they can be Matt Canada proof. I was talking to one of the local media there and I forget his name. I'm so sorry. I should have looked it up before I sat down here. But we were talking before the game on Saturday, and he was talking about the Freiermuth. I'm like, yeah, I really like Freiermuth. I like if the offensive line is good because Pickett is good enough to take advantage of the great wide receivers that are on this team. And I think that Deontay Johnson, it was so abnormal last year for him not to catch. Like, it's very difficult to do. And I think that people, and mostly it's the fantasy community, who are dismissing. I'm like, you guys, this is an elite level receiver. Like, let's be serious for a moment. And Pickens is good. As a Chicago Bears fan, you kind of hope he's not, because you're like, that's going to be one that we have to wear. By the way, I will say this as well. Number 1, Chase Claypool came off the PUP list as quickly as he went on it, so everybody can shove it. Number 2, if Joey Porter Jr. is not better than Tyreek Stevenson, you are going to hear it from me forever. That'll be the thing. I know that everybody was like, no, you essentially gave us a first round. No, we didn't, because it was a day 2 pick. You do not get the 5th-year option. You do not get a lot of things, a lot of benefits that come with being the 5th-year option. So you did not get an extra first round pick with us. I feel like you made a good trade, because I think that Chase Claypool was expendable for you. Even if he goes to Chicago and has a lights out career, it still was a great move because he was an expendable player. You guys don't need him. You'll draft another receiver who's going to be good. It doesn't matter. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. You draft great receivers every year. It's a luxury for you. And then you got that pick, which ended up being the 32nd overall pick. You get Joey Porter Jr., which I think is tremendous. I think he is actually going to be a really good player. But it's one of those things, like, it's good. It can end up working out for both teams. But I'm also going to be rooting for Tyreek Stevenson to be a better player than Joey Porter Jr., who's probably going to be a Pro Bowler, which, because he's a Steeler, which is just, I've already set myself up for that.
Adam, I tell you what, it's a luxury having you on. We're going to get you out of here. I know everybody's in the time crunch. You are absolutely phenomenal. We're so proud to be on the sick team with you. Thanks so much for jumping on with us, talking Steelers.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry that I took too much time, Sammy. We were saying 12 minutes. He knows as well as anybody.
We got to answer to Sammy.
He threw out Sheets. He shout out Sheets on the Twitter. I saw that. We love us some Sheets.
I know they're not one of your sponsors, so I didn't want to overtake the coffee place that's sponsoring you, but Sheets is delightful. Better than Wawa.
There you have it.
Man,
I think we'll end it on that.
Yeah, you're back in the hearts after that one. Sheets is better.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, Jordan, real quick before we get out of here, we also got to talk about shopyins.com.
Yeah.
You want to talk about apparel, man. This place is awesome. The number 1 brand for Pittsburgh sports. Of course, all black and gold, baby. That's what we wear. That's what we got on all the time. You got the T-shirt on there, of course, Steeler Nation.
We're gonna be doing a giveaway.
Representing. We're doing a giveaway soon. Tell people about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna be getting you ready for game day. Preseason is gonna be right around the corner, really. So make sure you use our code SICK15. There's a lot of cool Steeler, whatever you're looking for, baseball. It's just Pittsburgh in general, and that's what the Yins brand represents. So we're really excited to team up for them, and be on the lookout on all our socials and as well as theirs. And we'll be announcing the giveaway soon. So make sure you entered some really cool stuff. Whatever you do, you'll be looking fly going to the game for sure in your Yins apparel.
Shop Yins. That's 2 Z's right there. ShopYins.com. All right, Yins, thanks for joining us. Another great episode of the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy. Thanks to Adam. Thanks to Jordan, Sammy, and Nello back in the studio. Peace. Till next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.